Kids graduate and then immediately drop all relationships. That doesn't happen everywhere as I thought. But of all the boys and girls that were in Sunday school here this morning, if this is average for and unless something happens, by the time these boys and girls reach the age of 18, 65 or more percent will have severed their connection with this church. If present trends continue. Hope we pray for the revival. Now, I'm not wise enough to detail all the reasons why we lose so many people. I know some people will say, well, we need to give them more entertainment, more beach parties, we need to give them more movies, we need to have more parties, more socials. And I'm not saying those things are wrong, don't misunderstand me. But they are not the solution to our problem. Entertainment is not going to save the youth, because they can find even greater entertainment outside. Appealing to fear is not going to save our youth. You can have a week of prayer for the academy kids. You can scare them out of their wits. You can scare them to come down and tell them all kinds of horror stories about this or that one who didn't give his heart to Christ and got killed by his car rolling over, etc. I've heard those stories over and over again. That does not save our youth. You can scare them with baptismal power. It only lasts for a few days or a few weeks, and then they drift out. My topic is only a suggestion. Sherlock Holmes discovered one reason why we lose so many of our youth. And Sherlock Holmes, of course, is a reference to the mythical detective who finds significant details and evidence where other people see nothing at all. And Sherlock Holmes often solves a detective mystery by some very simple evidence. And this is only a suggestion as to one reason why there's so many youth. And it concerns a misconception of the gospel that is being promulgated all too often from the cradle roll on up through the kindergarten, the primary, the junior division, the Pathfinder Club, and on up. And this has been a problem for years. And I'm referring to something very important. That is the misunderstanding of the two covenants. Now, you may think the two covenants is just some boring, dry as dust theological puzzle that you don't even think about. It's actually very fresh and vital truth. Turn to Galatians chapter 4 and take a look here at what Paul says about the old covenant. Now you may be wondering, well, I don't quite know the difference between the old covenant and the new covenant. And if that's foggy to you, then welcome to this meeting. I can only pray that by God's grace I may be able to make it clear. Sometimes my wife has said, well, Bob, I heard you talk about it, but it's still not clear to me. I don't think the people are getting it. Well, I humble my heart. I pray that God will help me to make it clear. You see, the setting is this. I told you how I was born in Lutheran home. And then I attended the Presbyterian Church, and the Baptist, and Methodist. I discovered the Sabbath truth in the Presbyterian Sunday School. That's right. And I made my decision about the age of 12 to keep the Sabbath. But I discovered that it was the Roman Catholic Church that changed the Sabbath from the seventh day to the first day. And I remember making my decision. Well, if that's the case, we ought to keep the Sabbath. Just like that, I said, you see. I don't think I even knew of the existence of a Seventh-day Adventist church. I didn't come in to some evangelistic campaign that people coming by their house and giving me Bible studies, begging me to join the church. I saw some truth. And I discovered to my intense delight that somebody had been to St. Cloud, Florida for me and built a little humble 2-by-4 sort of a dingy little church. And as a teenager, I left this beautiful Presbyterian church with its Gothic windows, its row of choir, its beefy minister, and its pipe organ. Now, I've always loved pipe organs. And I went to this little dingy Adventist church. I hope it didn't have pews like that. It had benches to sit on. Not even a piano, if you please. Horrible old wheat organ that they used to pump like this, you know. And instead of singing those lovely hymns like we sang in the Presbyterian church, Love Divine, all love's excelling, joy of heaven work come down, they sang hymns like this, to the work, you know. But those people loved me. And I knew it was the truth that they had. Although it wasn't all the truth. They didn't have the 1888 message, sure. But I hung on, and I was the only Adventist boy in high school for 4 years. I played the violin. They asked me to come and play for Friday night concerts and programs and parties. All the ball games were on Friday night. All the parties were on Friday night. I had to miss out on all those things. Stood on the storm tunnel in high school for 4 years, all alone, with constant opposition and ridicule. And they said, you're under the law. You're a Jew. That's your problem. And I couldn't understand what it meant to be under the law. And nobody could help me understand what it meant. I went to camp meeting. I was a voracious reader. I read Steps to Christ. I read Apostolic Lessons. I read Ages. We didn't have any TV back in those days. Wasn't it terrible? I like books. Thank God I did. But nobody could answer my question. What does Galatians mean? Then I went away to college. And still nobody could help me. So one day in class, in senior college, our instructor said, Elder Blake, the greatest evangelist that we had in those days, he always dressed in a white suit, he had a spotlight on him, he was preaching, he baptized people by the hundreds, and we boys in the preacher boy class, we dreamed that someday we could be like Elder Blake and wear a white suit and have a spotlight on us, and go to big theaters and all that. But one day our instructor said, Elder Blake does not understand the two covenants. And we thought, well, that's surprising, because he got his sermon straight from Charles T. Everson, who was supposed to understand Marcus Monday, you see. He said, well, he doesn't, who does understand the two covenants? I said, well, to tell the truth, he didn't know who did among us. Or we learned about the two covenants. Well, they said the best ever read is a book called The Glad Tidings by Wieland. But we'd never heard of Wieland. We'd never heard of 1888. We'd never heard of this book, The Glad Tidings. We went to the library, and of course, the book was not there. So he put his own book on reserve for us. He could not take it out of the library to read it there. I think the other boys read the passage, and what they reacted, I don't know. But as I read that book, something happened. I had never before understood the gospel so clearly and simply. It was good, glad tidings to my heart. And I was so enamored of that book that I had to drag my old typewriter, a big old heavy Remington. I paid $5 for the thing. And you young people will be amazed at this, but there were no Xerox machines back in the day. And I dragged an old typewriter up the steps of the library, so I might copy page after page of that beautiful book. I loved it so. After 50 years, I still love that book. The Glad Tidings. I think I had experienced Ellen Whitehead. Just a little bit, perhaps. An eyewitness told me, and by the way, has anybody here ever talked personally with someone who was present at the 1888 conference? Put your hand up if you have. Nobody's raising his hand. Okay? Some people think I am so old. I was a delegate at that conference. But I was not. But I had talked to somebody who was there. And he told me he remembers seeing Sister White sit on the front row while Wagner was talking. Her face just beaming. She kept saying, "Amen, brethren. There's great life here." And I had that experience, reading the last items. It warmed my heart. There's no book I'd ever read. You may think I was dumb. Maybe I was. I read Steps to Christ, Salvations. I must confess. Nothing got through to me like the last time did. It was there I discovered what the two covenants were all about. So what I want to give you now briefly is the glad tidings understanding of the two covenants. And first of all, let me tell you, if you're scared, maybe you're scared. Who's this guy coming here from California? I don't know what the two covenants is. What's he know about it? I don't know anything about it myself. I'm not smart enough to think it out. What I'm giving you is what Wagner taught in the Glad Tidings. You can check it out for yourself. And furthermore, I've discovered in Ellen White's letters, 1890, letter 35, I think it's letter 55, 1890. She tells the brethren in Battle Creek, who are fighting Wagner, opposing him on the two covenants. She tells Uriah Smith and Danny Jones and the others over there, "You're wasting your time," she says, "to oppose Wagner's understanding of the two covenants. I was shown last night that Wagner has the truth about the two covenants." And my seminary, my teacher in college was right. It appeared that nobody understood it at that time. And even to this day, the Seventh-day Adventist Bible Commentary and the Seventh-day Adventist Bible Dictionary both support the view of those who oppose the 1888 message. After 100 years. Now, Galatians 4:24. There is something terribly wrong with the Old Covenant. I have a glass of water here. And if you're hungry, a glass of water isn't going to help you. Because there is no nutriment in that water, you see. The water's not bad, it's just blah, it's empty of calories and nutrients and vitamins, you see. But it's not bad. And many people think that the Old Covenant is not necessarily bad, it's just not very good. But Paul says, hey, wait a minute. The Old Covenant is poison. Look at it, verse 24. These things are an allegory. These are the two covenants. Abraham, well, verse 22 says, Abraham had two sons, one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. He was of the bondwoman, but born after the flesh. He of the free woman, born after the promise, born by promise. Which things are an allegory? These are the two covenants. And the one from Mount Sinai, the Old Covenant, genders to bondage. And the word gender means it gives birth to bondage. Okay? So friends, lesson number one is this. Do not imagine that it is right for us to drag our boys and girls and our young people through the Old Covenant and hope that when they get over that, they will discover the New Covenant and be all right. The fact of the matter is, if you teach the boys and girls the Old Covenant, you are feeding those boys and girls poison, which will gender to bondage and bring them into darkness. That's the simple truth. So go back to Genesis, and let's see what the New Covenant is all about. And then we'll discover what the Old Covenant was all about. In Genesis chapter 12, and you see the point is, Sherlock Holmes has the idea. So we've been feeding those boys and girls some poison. If I invite you to my home for lunch, and I set a dish of lovely vanilla ice cream before you, you say, my friend, help yourself. This ice cream is really pretty good. It's 99% ice cream and only 1% arsenic. Would you be happy? No. I doubt to be happy. Even 1% Old Covenant can neutralize the gospel, so it doesn't get through once you know. All right, Genesis 12. The Lord had said to Abram, get out of verse 1, get out of your country, from your kindred, from your father's house, the land I'll show you. And then he makes a series of fantastic promises to Abraham. I'll make of you a great nation, I'll bless you, make your name great, and best of all, you shall be a blessing to other people, see? I'll bless them to curse you, and so forth. In you shall all families of the earth be blessed. Period. And what did Abraham promise in return? What did Abraham promise in return? Absolutely nothing. He simply departed with him and went to the land the Lord showed him. Now move along here to Genesis chapter 13 and verse 14. The Lord comes back and he renews the promise, only makes it bigger this time. See? Genesis chapter 13, verse 14. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot was departed from him, lift up your eyes, north, south, east, and west. All the land you see will I give you, to your children forever. And Paul quotes that in Romans 4:11 as meaning the whole wide earth itself. Not just the land of Canaan. The Lord promised in the whole world. You see? And verse 16, I'll make your children as numerous as the dust of the earth. If a man can count the dust of the earth, so shall your children be numbered. It gets bigger and bigger all the time. And then, Genesis chapter 15, by this time, years have gone by, and Abram and Sarah do not have even baby number one. And the Lord has been promising he's going to have descendants in number like the dust of the earth. All families be blessed with them and so forth. So Abraham wakes up at night and he thinks, you know, the Lord has made this wonderful promise to me. I guess he expects me to do something to help him out, you see. And so, verse 1, after these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram. This was after the battle with the kings, and Abram gave all the spoil from battle to the others, but nothing for himself, not even a shoelace for himself, you see. The Lord says it comes to comfort him. He says, don't be afraid, Abram. Don't be afraid those kings will come back and get their revenge on you. I will be your shield. I am your shield. I'm also your exceeding great reward. Don't worry about all the shoes and the gold and silver that you've lost here. I'll reward you. Verse 2. Abram said, Lord, I have a problem. You've been promising me children. And I don't have any children. I'm a child. And the steward of my house is this Eliezer. You, Lord, you're to blame. You haven't given me a baby. It's your fault. And one born in my house is my heir. According to the law of the land, I can sign adoption papers and adopt Eliezer, who was born in my house. He's my servant or my slave. And I'll make him my legal heir, and that way your promise will be fulfilled. Right idea, I got, Lord. The Lord said to him in verse 4, this shall not be your heir, but he who shall come forth from your own body shall be your heir. Now, if Abram had thought carefully, he would have realized the Bible clearly teaches, Genesis clearly teaches, that a man and his wife are one flesh. And therefore, any child that shall come from Abram's body must come from Sarah's body. You should have known that, you see. All right, verse 5. Now the Lord makes the promise even bigger than ever. Fantastic. He called him out from his tent one night, bright starlit night. Said, look now toward heaven. Count the stars if you can. You can count them. And Abraham tried, but he failed. He couldn't count them. The Lord said, so shall your children be for number. And how did Abraham respond? Verse 6. Did he say, Lord, thank you so much. Everything you say I will do. I'll be a good boy from here on out. I'll keep your commandments. I'll do everything you just done. No way. He made no promise whatsoever. The tears came in his eyes. His heart was melted. He believed the Lord. And the Lord counted his faith for righteousness. So that's the new promise, the new covenant. The promise of God. Now, most theologians, when they talk about the two covenants, including our own commentary and dictionary, tell us a covenant is a mutual agreement between two or more parties to do or to refrain from doing certain things. And so I say to you, I will sell you my Honda for $50. And you say, fine, I'll buy you a Honda, I will give you $50 for your Honda, let's shake hands on the agreement, see? That's a covenant. The Wagoner says, God never makes bargains with people like that. Because God knows they can't do their part, see? They cannot fulfill their promise. And so when God makes a covenant, it is one-sided promise. God doesn't ask us to make any promise in return. And this was the new covenant that was spoken to Abraham. All the promises were made by God. Not one promise was made by Abraham. In fact, you can turn back to Genesis chapter 9, and you'll see that after the flood, when Noah came out of the ark, with all the animals with him, verse 9, the Lord said, I establish my covenant with you and with your children after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark. And every beast of the earth, I will establish my covenant with you. And so the Lord made a covenant with all the animals. And what did the animals promise in return? Nothing else. They simply received the favor as a hand of God. That's all that God expects us to do. Just receive what He promises. Well, 430 years went by after the birth of Isaac, I think it was. Isaac was the fulfillment of the promise. Oh yes, I forgot your Hagar. Let's come back and see about Hagar here. So after a while, more years went by, and still no baby comes. Why? You say, well, God was testing their faith. Well, that's a pretty cruel way to test their faith, I would say. I don't think it was God who was hindering the baby from coming. The honest truth is that Sarah was not ready to have a baby. Sarah did not believe God's promise. That was the problem. Her heart was hard. And so after a while, Sarah gets a bright idea in chapter 16, and she says in verse 2 to her husband, look now, the Lord is to blame for all this. He has restrained me from having a child. And so let's follow this legal custom that is permitted on land here. I will give you this lady that we got down in Egypt, whose name was Hagar. She's my servant, my slave. And you can have her, and she will bear a son or a child, and legally, her child will become my child. And so, Abram, we can help the Lord out. He expects us to do something to fulfill this promise. Before Abram can think of a better idea, they go along with it. See? The result is Hagar bears Ishmael. And sometime later, the Lord comes back, and He renews all these promises in chapter 17. He was 99 years old. The Lord said, I'll make my covenant, my promise between me and you, will multiply you exceedingly, and so on. You'll be a father of many nations, and your name was going to be Abraham from now on, because as a father of many nations I have made you. I love that past tense. God calls things that be not as though they were. I'll make you exceeding fruitful, make nations of you and kings will come out of you. I'll establish my promise, my covenant between me and you and your children forever, so forth. I'll give you this land for an everlasting possession. Here's a new element brought in. No way could Abraham and his descendants inherit the whole earth as an everlasting possession unless they had everlasting life. And so, included in the promise is the gift of everlasting life. And Peter says that in this new earth that God will make, no one can dwell there except that he's righteous, and therefore the promise includes making Abraham and his children righteous to inherit everlasting life, etc. And so this beautiful promise was renewed, and the Lord says to him in verse 15, as for Sarai, my wife, don't call her Sarai anymore. Her name shall be Sarah. I will bless her and give you a son of her. Now Abraham's 99 years old. His wife, I think, is 89, wasn't she? And ladies, 89, don't have babies. You see? She shall be the mother of nations and king of people shall. He had heard Abraham laugh at what the Lord said. Shall a child be born to him as 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, get pregnant and have a baby? Abraham said to the Lord, "Oh Lord, let's find an easier way out of this difficulty. Let Ishmael be my heir. Let him live before you. Let all the promises come through him. I love this little boy." And the Lord said, "Sarah, your wife, will bear a son indeed. You shall call his name Isaac." And that word in the Hebrew means laughter. It's a onomatopoeia, the word that tells something by its sound, like it's the diaphragm in laughter. Ha 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 ha. It's isaka in the Hebrew. The word means you laugh. And you will laugh when the child is born out of joy at this incredible blessing. And in verse 21, I will establish my covenant, my promise with Isaac, because he is the child of faith. Well, no time went by. What happened, the Bible doesn't tell us. But gynecologists do tell us that sometimes a woman who cannot have a child and who adopts a baby, in exercising maternal love to that adopted baby and learning to love that baby, and thus finding her womanly fulfillment in being a mother to a child, something happens to her soul, her body somehow, and all of a sudden she gets pregnant herself. Have you ever heard of that? I think it's quite common knowledge among people who know. And so there must be some relationship between tenderness and melted hearts and the fact that Sarah could conceive. In fact, Hebrews 11 tells us, by faith, Sarah conceived before Isaac. And don't forget, faith is not intellectual exercise. With the heart, man and woman believe of the righteousness. Somehow, Sarah humbled her heart. Both of them must have knelt together, embraced each other, let the tears just gush from their eyes, and let their hearts just be melted in contrition and sorrow for their years of unbelief. And Abraham, for his years of stumbling and staggering, the lies he told about Sarah, the whole thing had to come out in confession. Their hearts were knit together and knit in the heart of God. And Sarah was pregnant for Isaac. And all the neighbors for miles around were saying, "Can you believe it? This old lady's had a baby herself." Sarah. 430 years later, we come to Exodus chapter 19. And here, the descendants of Abraham have come out of the land of Egypt. out of bondage. And the Lord has graciously come to appear to them through Moses. The message to Moses is to tell the people in verse 4, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. What a beautiful picture of God's love for those people. Brought them out of the house of bondage, you see. Now, verse 5. I'd like you to know what the Hebrew actually says. The Hebrew word for obey means listen. And as a parent, you probably know, if you can get your child to listen to you, you've largely solved the problem of obedience. And the word for keep, translated keep here, is the same Hebrew word that's used in Genesis there, where it says that Adam was to keep the Garden of Eden. Meaning he was to cherish the Garden of Eden. No way could you say that Adam was to obey the Garden of Eden, could he? But the word keep means to cherish. Like I say to you, here I have a solid gold pen. I'm going to give you as a gift, worth $1,000. Will you please keep it? But then I mean, will you please cherish it, see? Don't lay it around and throw it away or drop it in an ash can someplace. Cherish it. That's the word for keep. So let's go back now and read verse 5 as it reads in Hebrew. Now therefore, if you will listen to my voice indeed, and cherish my promise. The word covenant always means a promise on the part of God. And cherish the promise I made to your father Abraham. In other words, if you'll have the faith of your father Abraham, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. You shall be able to be a kingdom of psychiatrists. The whole lot of you are going to be PhDs. The world will be the path to your door. The world will send their young people to university to learn the way of God. You'll be a blessing to the whole wide world, a holy nation, the greatest nation on earth. Leave the words. You shall speak to the children of Israel. And Moses told them these words. And then verse 8. Instead of doing like Abraham and appreciating the agape of Christ, Abraham rejoiced to see his day. His heart was glad. Abraham was saved by faith. But instead of that, these people had become legalists. And so they answered in verse 8 and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. And that promise of the people was the old covenant. And Hebrew says, the Lord is going to make a new covenant with his people based upon better promises. Friend, your salvation does not depend upon you making or even keeping promises to God. It depends upon you believing his promises to you. Salvation is by faith. Now, Whitehead says, and I think he was right, Ellen White endorsed what he said. It was never God's original plan to come down in Exodus chapter 20 on Mount Sinai with thunder, lightning, earthquake, and terror, and frighten the people by speaking the Ten Commandments and writing them on tables of stone. That was never God's original plan. God's plan was for Abraham's descendants to have the faith of their father Abraham, and to respond by saying, Amen, Lord. You see, the Hebrew word for believe is simply our word, Amen. That's what it is. And even in Swahili, to this day in East Africa, our infinitive for to believe is kuamini. And we got it from the Arabic translation, the Hebrew. So all that Abraham did was to say, Amen, Lord. So be it, as you have said. That's exercising faith. That's all the Lord wanted the people to do. But the people thought, we're pretty good people. We can do it. Yes, sir, we can keep those commandments. Everything the Lord says, you can depend on us, Lord. When I became an Adventist years ago, we had a little hymn book, a little song book, for youth and evangelistic meetings. And one of the hymns, or songs rather, was entitled, Yes, the Lord Can Depend on Me. And they all recited it and didn't get it. I'm glad they dropped the hymn song. No longer is you, he said. And so the Ten Commandments were spoken from Mount Sinai and written on tables of stone. And so the great ceremonial law was instituted, see, that Paul says was a schoolmaster or pedagogue or policeman, is what the meaning of the word is, to drive us back to Christ, that we might be justified by faith, like Abraham. Now, is the new covenant being taught to our children today? Yes. 2 years back, we had a book for juniors. The whole book was entitled, I Promise God. There's a little book you can get in the ABC, beautiful 4-color pictures, the paper is the kind that kids can't tear, little rhymes that are very cute. And the author has put words in Jesus' lips that Jesus has never uttered. And you know, that's a serious thing. To put quotation marks around words or attribute them to Jesus. And Jesus never said those words. Revelation 22 says, don't you dare add to the words of Jesus. Don't you dare do it. And Jesus is represented, his picture is there, talking to boys and girls. And Jesus said, boys and girls, promise them, you'll be true in every little thing you do. Promise me, boys and girls, that you'll never go where you should go. Promise me, boys and girls, you'll be good. Because all the good boys and girls belong in my hands. Do you like that? All the boys and girls know they're not good. And they get the idea, I guess I don't belong, which is a root problem. The next page turns over, the little rhymes continue. And the boys and girls are all standing there promising, I promise, I'll do everything just right. I don't remember the exact words of the rhyme. I'll never go over his commandments, tell me no. I promise every day I'll be just good, I'll do everything just right. And thousands of our Adventist mothers and fathers read those things to their little boys and girls. And in the cradle roll, in the primary division, in the junior division, these kids are led to promise. I guess almost every Pathfinder day, they're dragged through these promises. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag. Now it's quite okay to pledge allegiance to the American flag as a citizen. I'm not contending about that. That's completely outside of the pictures. But pledging or making a promise, I am going to do everything that's right as a Christian, is a different matter. God has never asked anyone to make a promise to him. Yes, he asked for a choice, that's right. But not a promise like this. And why is the Old Covenant? Why does it gender bondage? What's wrong with the Old Covenant? Well, Steps to Christ, page 47, tells you what's wrong. Quote, the knowledge of your broken promises and forfeited pledges weakens your confidence in your own sincerity and causes you to feel that God cannot accept you. Period. Close quote. And that is why Robert Duncan, in his examination of hundreds of Adventist young people in our academies, has documented their replies to this questionnaire. And over these boys and girls say, yes, I'd like to go to heaven, but I'm afraid I can't make it. I just don't think I have what it takes to be a good Christian. I think I guess I'm not cut out. I'm not good like other young people are. I wish I could make it, but I don't know. I'm afraid I can't, and so on. Over and over and over again, these kids respond that way. Why? Because they've been dragged to the old covenant from the cradle rolls on out of their kids. A few years ago, I came back from Africa. I became a pastor there in Southern California, southeastern California. For a while, I got along pretty well until one day the committee that was in charge of the Vacation Bible School asked me would I please teach the Bible lessons to the kids in the Vacation Bible School. I said, fine, love to. I love to talk to kids. And they gave me the book, the lessons, you see. I'd never read this book before. I've been out in Africa, out in the jungle for decades. And here was this book of lessons for the kids with old covenant ideas and legalism in those lesson plans. Now, a pastor is supposed to be a very meek, gentle, mild person. Is that right? That's what you expect of a pastor. But if you saw this pastor watching some thug beating up on my children, trying to kill my kids, you see a tiger let loose. I don't think it's Christ-like to stand back and watch boys and girls lose their way and say, well, you don't want to be critical, do you? So what? Let them go. Is that Christ-like? I don't think so. Then my blood began to boil. And I wrote the General Conference. I said, dear brethren, we desperately need that 1888 message of God's grace for the boys and girls. They need to hear the gospel as good news. Not as legalism and not as old covenant teachings. They need to have the new covenant. These boys and girls need massive injections of the new covenant. Nobody says amen here? I'm telling you, friends, they do. And if you have any part to play in the Church of God, Ellen White says, Volume 4 of the Testaments, you have anything, whatever to do with the work of the church, whether you teach the kindergarten, or the cradle roll, or the primary, or the pathfinders, or your elder, or deacon, whatever you are, says, be careful that you feed the flock of God pure provender, thoroughly winnowed from the chaff of error. Because error is absolute poison to the human soul. And I would like to appeal to all of you who teach the Sabbath school divisions or the classes or the pathfinders. Exercise the judgment that God has given you. And if you find legalism in the lesson, teach them the gospel instead. Lead them to the cross of Christ. Ellen White says it's possible to teach these little boys and girls the secret of the cross of God. Their young hearts can be gripped by that beautiful revelation of love. That's right. And if we, Pastor, I believe with all my heart, if we could have a church somewhere where every elder, every deacon, every Sabbath school teacher understands and appreciates the pure, unadulterated gospel of Christ and communicates that to the boys and girls and the young people, we'll have a marvelous crop of young people who love this truth and will stand firm and will finish God's work in the earth. What a challenge to us today. Well, Sherlock Holmes can't go any further for now. I don't want you to be critical. I don't want you to do obstreperous. No. But do let us love these boys and girls enough to do our homework and find out for sure what is the gospel and give that gospel to us. I remember visiting a Sabbath school one time, a big Sabbath school. There must have been 50 or 60 primary kids there. And I just stepped in the door and stood by the door while the teacher was talking to these boys and girls. And the teacher was a lady who said, "Boys and girls, how many of you want to go to heaven?" And every hand went up. Said, "All right then, you must learn to obey." And I wished her so much that she had said, "I'm so glad you put your hands up, boys and girls, who want to go to heaven. I got good news for you guys. The Lord wants you to go to heaven. And the Lord is taking you by the hand and leading you to heaven, boys and girls. That's how much He loves you. What you have to do is to believe His wonderful promises to you, boys and girls. That's what you have to do." She didn't say that. Because she herself has been reared in this legalistic milieu. That's been upon us for decades. We've come to 1988, 100 years later. Is that long enough? Or should we have another 100 years? God forbid. That's Lord on us instead. And so I would challenge you. I haven't come to feed you, dear people. I've come to prayer. That God might help me to make you hungry. But study for yourself. And please, you gray-haired people. It's the gray-haired people that have the biggest problem with the 1880 message. Did you know that? The youth are the ones who gladly welcome this message. But it's often the gray-haired people, it's often the elders who just can't bring themselves to believe how good the good news is. And so I have some gray hairs too. So I guess I can talk to the gray-haired people, can I plead with you, heed the counsel of the true witness who says, "Be zealous and repent." Repent of your years and decades of fog and uncertainty and darkness of mind, and ask God to give you the tender heart of a teenager or a child that can believe the gospel. And you with gray hairs can do a great deal of good to help these boys and girls. Now, have I failed? Or have I helped a little bit to understand what it's all about?
Thank you.
Is there a question?
Let's pick up the question. Are there any? One right here. Okay, let's pass along. One little different thing. Did you receive a reply from the General Conference regarding the BBS legalistic material? If so, what was it?
Yes, I received a reply. Not very happy with it, I must confess. The dear brother in the Sabbath School Department who answered my letters thought I was being critical and resented, really, what I wrote. But I'm not sorry that I wrote what I did, because my conscience is clear before God. And the best good news is they scrapped those lessons and wrote some new ones.
How do we daily live righteousness by faith? Would this be called righteousness by faith? As an example, I read a daily devotion and meditate on the Bible verse in it. God and I then apply one lesson that I find in the verse to my life that day. Every day there is a wonderful experience of growth.
Well, I'm very glad you say you're having an experience of growth. That's wonderful. I'm glad you are reading these devotional thoughts each day. I guess everybody has to eat whatever food he's hungry for. I like watermelon. The pastor says he doesn't. He's tired of watermelon. Well, I like watermelon. He doesn't have to eat watermelon because I like it, does he? You can select whatever food you are hungry for, and no one can tell you what to read. So I'm just glad for you. Yes, being hungry and thirsty after righteousness or faith, as Jesus says, is happiness itself, you see. You're always hungry for more. It's not a dose of medicine. It's just delicious food to your heart. That's good. Now, I would say a word though about the devotional books. Some are good, some are not so good. And in our homegrown family, my wife and I like to read the Bible as our devotional together. See? Plain, unadorned Bible. We sometimes take one of the modern translations and read it. And we like to read a whole chapter. It's not too long. And I prefer drinking my milk pure, without it being strained through someone's coal sack, as Luther used to say. And yet I don't say it's wrong to read these uninspired devotional books. Some of the may inspired, I don't know. But be careful, because sometimes your darkness and despair is a result of picking up legalistic ideas unconsciously in your devotional reading or in the music that you hear. And some of our dear people say, well, you know, I want to walk with the Lord, I want to develop a relationship with the Lord, and so from the time I wake up in the morning till I go to sleep at night, we'll have the radio turned on all day long and listen to evangelical radio stations. And just hear this music piped in all the day long. And friend, there are many of those songs that are legalistic, or sentimental, or worse yet, antinomian. So be careful. Babylon, I'm sorry, is what? Fallen. That's right. If you drink the wine of Babylon all day long, you're going to be in darkness, friends. It could be that part of your problem is that. So, as far as possible, get the devotional reading straight from the Word of God. Ellen White is wonderful. Wonderful. But she herself says she's a lesson like Guy Webb. She's a great one. And I remember one quotation she made April 16, 1991, I think it was, in the library of Battle Creek College. She told the brethren in her homely way, her grammar wasn't always right, said, don't you never quote Sister White. Then you can quote the Bible, she said. And we need to become giants in the Word of God. Amen.
I wonder, maybe we should take a break now and have our supper. Give us an hour time to think about it. Come back and finish this question. We've got about 10 more slips of paper here, and if you want to accumulate some more over the weekend, we may have some other time for another question. Let's bow hands as we close and promise to gather back together in 1 hour at 7 o'clock. Let's all be promised as much as we can. Dear Lord, we thank you for the pure, unadulterated Word of God. Give us that hunger for it, Father, that will impel us, that will compel us day by day to find pleasure in reading it, and thereby getting to know you better as the great God and personal friend that you are. Thanks for the feast that we are enjoying this evening. I pray now that you will bless us as we take this time of repose, as we come back, and may His Spirit continue to guide us and teach us. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.